Is that better? There we go. Now you can hear, can't you? There we go. Sorry about that. There we go. Let's take another caller here and bring it on. You're on the CramerSez podcast, and what's your name and where are you calling from?
Oh, I'm actually calling. I didn't think I was going to go live, but there's no sound on your live.
Well, there is now.
There is. Okay.
I think we just fixed it. So, do you have a comment? Is something you want to say?
Well, no, I just love your content, and I've been following you for a while now. So, keep bringing it.
Oh, perfect. I appreciate it so much. Have a great evening.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Sorry about that. We had a technical. See, I told you we had everything worked out, and then we went live on everything: YouTube, Twitter, Rumble, and so on. And now I think we've got sound everywhere. We should have sound everywhere. We added one more component right before we went live, and that was what we missed out on stuff. So we should be okay now. Did you hear today about Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? He says that Fauci has been in charge of developing bioweapons for the Pentagon since 2002. Now think about that. He's been in charge of developing weapons, bioweapons for the Pentagon. And if he can't do it here in the U.S. because it's illegal, where in God's green earth could he do it at? China. That's the only one. We've got another caller coming in. Welcome to the CramerSez podcast. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Kramer. This is Daniel calling in from Nashville, Tennessee. How you doing today, bud?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. I just wanted to say I appreciate your content you put out there. I wish all the news agencies was like you, but I just have one question.
Sure.
When is the accountability going to happen? I mean, how long does it go on before the upper echelons of the military steps in and does something? I mean, it's a crap show, right?
Well, let me ask you this. Yes, it is, but we're not 100% gone yet. And what I mean by that is the vast majority of Americans still have no idea what's going on. They go to work every day. They don't watch the news. They're not ingrained in media and so on. They're not on social media. They have no idea. They're just going to work, doing the grind. They have no idea the situation this country is in. The fact that you know.
How long do you think it's going to take but you think it's going to be too late by the time America wakes up?
It's hard to say. Isn't it?
It is hard to say. I know Jesus is coming back soon, but I appreciate your content and all that you do. I just love how they ban you and then you redo you're just there, man. You'll never go away. And I know we the people really appreciate all the stuff that you do. So just keep hammering it and stay on TikTok. And we like and follow you all the time, no matter how many accounts you make.
Well, I like to hear that. Thanks so much. Let me ask you this: what do you think the time is? Let me ask you that. What do you think should be done?
I'm sorry, Kramer. What'd you say?
What do you think should be done?
Well, what's gonna be done is we're gonna go a little further along, and Jesus is coming back to get his church, and all this stuff is gonna go to literally the wrath of God, and we ain't gonna be around.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. So in between now and then, let's say that Christ doesn't come back for another 1,000 years. Okay, let's put that off on the horizon. What do you think is going to happen here between now and 2024?
What's going to happen here is revival's going to happen, and souls are going to be reached, and they're going to be harvested in until the return of Jesus. But you can see the beast system already being implemented on the face of the earth. The technology's here. The flows here. Everybody's going along with the vaccine, which is kind of like the prerequisite to the mark of the beast. So that flow, that Antichrist system is already in the earth, and we're getting to see it before it's fully implemented post-rapture. That's what I believe.
Okay. Well, okay. So, but again, I want to take Christianity. I want to take Christ out of the conversation for a moment. Right?
Okay.
Let's say all of that happens and Christ comes in 1,000 years. What do you expect to happen between now and 2024? And what's your line in the sand? What's your red line that you will not allow the government to cross?
Well, they've already crossed it, Kramer. We're not even free. The only person you're free is in Jesus. They've taken away everything. Don't pay your taxes and see what happens. They pretty much, you don't have no freedom no more in the United States.
Well,
You have none.
There is freedom. That's what I keep trying to. Okay, so you do have freedom. We're talking right now. The government isn't kicking down your door or kicking down my door today. So we do have freedoms, right? But we see our right. We see deteriorated freedoms that are not the same as they were when we were kids, or even 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago. So the question is, and this is what people have to wrap their heads around, is at what point do you as a person, say, that's far enough. I am not going to pay. I'm not going to play along with this game anymore. What is your out? When are you done?
Well, I've been done for the past, 5, 6 years now, but it's going to take unity in the American people to say, okay, we're not paying our taxes no more. We're not subscribing to the Grammys. We're stop buying all your crap. So when we unite as a whole and pull back, that'll get their attention. That's the only way you're going to get their attention is the pocketbook.
I agree.
Pull back, stop using their services, stop listening to them. And I think a lot of people now are waking up more than they were 2 or 3 years ago. A lot more people are awake now because now that they're running the ship now, so to speak, everybody's like, wow, well, Trump wasn't so bad after all. With the banks are crashing, the wars are happening. Everything they said Trump would do, Biden's responsible doing.
So Biden runs. Biden and Trump run. Those are the two guys at the top of the ticket in 24. Biden wins again. What happens next?
So, I think.
What do you think the American people will do?
I think something will be done. There's a lot of good guys at the top, a lot of people that are invisible, and those are the people that's running the ship. But if they don't fix the election from 2020, we're not going to have a 2024 because they own the election system. They own the election system, the healthcare system, the education system. The Chinese Communist Party bought America a while back, and they bought it to the corrupt, the whole Congress, the whole Senate. It needs to be flushed. It's too corrupt to judge itself according to the Constitution. It's treason. Who holds them accountable? Yeah, God holds them accountable, but there's an upper echelon above the Joint Chiefs of Staff that's not been corrupted that actually control the Constitution, and they are the ones that's actually protecting. They're letting all this stuff play out because you got to have the people on that side of the fence so you don't have a civil war, which China can come in and invade us. They're really already here. They can fire one bullet, and they're already here if you think about it. They've got everybody's attention to Hollywood, the satanic rituals. And if you look at the way they train their kids, man, they're teaching their babies and their children how to unload and load and clean guns. And meantime, they're putting all these mass shootings. They stage all this stuff. They actually make it happen. CIA, it's DARPA, and they use these events to slowly erode the Constitution and to create this gun fear narrative. And that's been done over a slow erosion process ever since Columbine. All that stuff is all pre-orchestrated.
I couldn't agree with you more. I could not agree with you more that what we've seen happen over the last 15 to 20 years is the tools that were generated for fighting terrorism have now been used against the American people. That the tools that you're seeing being utilized by the NSA, listening to us, spying on us, and getting into our information, it's the same tools that we used against the Taliban. It's the tools that we used against ISIS. They have been turned around on the American people. And Obama gave the authority, removed the ability, or gave the ability, I should say, for the mainstream media to start using propaganda, spreading propaganda against the American people. Before Obama, it was illegal. You could not do that. They realized the propaganda that the military used against the people of Europe and the people of the world during World War II. They realized at that time how dangerous that was to turn that on the American people. And Obama turned it around. That's what Congress needs to turn around immediately. They need to get the CIA and the FBI out of these services. I agree with you 100%. Thanks for calling in. We're going to move on to our next caller. If you've got a message or something that you want to say tonight, get your voice heard. 877-619-3899, 877-619-3899. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez podcast. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the show. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez podcast. Tonight is our inaugural call-in show. We've never done this before. We did a test last Monday, but tonight we're actually going live and taking calls from everybody. The number to call in at is 877-619-3899. That's 877-619-3899. We've got another caller on the line. What's your name and where are you calling from? There you go. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Are you talking to me?
I am talking to you.
Okay. My name is Joey, and I'm calling from California.
Hey, Joey from California. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. First, I have a few things I want to say. I really love listening to things you say. You make so much sense. You seem very knowledgeable, and you're very relevant in what you talk about. And
Thanks.
I like that. And I don't want to offend anybody. I don't at all.
That's my job.
But you kind of in a way remind me. Well, you kind of in a way remind me of like an upcoming Rush Limbaugh type.
Well, thank you so much. That's kind.
Honestly.
You're too kind.
So I have a lot of concerns. Well, in California, there are some local concerns like the reparations.
Yeah.
That they want to pay in California.
To a state that was never by the way, I don't know if you've realized it yet, California was never a slave state. Did you know that?
I'm aware.
Yeah.
I'm aware.
Reparations for people in a state that were never a slave state.
Well, the thing is, honestly, I don't think anybody should get reparations, but if anybody deserves it, in my opinion, it would be the Jewish people. And then I was listening to this lady, I don't remember where I heard her from, but she was right. She said, if we're going to do reparations, it should be where it started. The money should come from Africa because that's where it started, not from us taxpayers who have nothing to do with any of it, who are then in turn giving it to people who have nothing to do with it, who know nobody who had anything to do with it. You know.
See, here's the thing. I don't think reparations are due to anyone at all. It's a real slippery slope. Here's the deal. Did you own any slaves ever?
I did not.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I didn't own any, right? And in fact, my family came to this country after slavery was abolished. So reparations for a ton of us are the most racist thing you can do because you're penalizing us for the sins of our fathers and our fathers' fathers and our fathers' 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 fathers. We had nothing to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
You're penalizing me for something that happened in the past. If we're going to do that, then how do we get the slaves who built the pyramids? How do we get them paid? How do we get the Egyptians in Egypt? Well, Kramer, you don't understand. No, you don't understand. Slavery has been around with us for a long time. If you really want to fight slavery in this country, do you know the best way to do it? Go to North Africa. Go to the south of the border where the trafficking. Trafficking is the new slang term for slavery.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was going to bring up is the fact that slavery still exists.
Exactly.
And if people want to make their voices heard, want to quote unquote make a difference, want to be, an activist, let's fight the slavery that's happening right now
Exactly.
during our time that we're alive. Because back then, when they had slaves, again, not to offend anybody, but that was the way things were. Black people had slaves. White people had slaves. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Everybody had slaves.
And that's what they don't understand. One of the largest
percentage of the population.
One of the largest slave owners in Georgia was a black gentleman. Yeah, so here's the thing. Slavery, and by the way, where do you think we got our slaves from? Where do you think the U.S. got their slaves from?
From Africa.
They were slaves in Africa. We bought their slaves. It was a secondary market.
Them.
So when you know your history, you know that these reparations, you can't go back in time and say, okay, those people were harmed, and so you're responsible today. You can't do that. Because if that's the case,
it's not.
And I think that Americans have a problem with that. So let me ask you this. So what else in California is going wrong for you? What else are you? I mean, I know it's a shit show out there, but what do you think is besides the reparations thing and taxes? What would get you to leave California?
We are. The homeless problem is ridiculous. I live in a middle upper class, but higher upper class neighborhood. It's an HOA.
Okay.
it's a bunch of Karens out here. And just right around the corner is a giant homeless camp. And like a week ago, there was a car there. I thought it was a broke down car at their homeless camp. The next day that it left, and I was like, okay, the car's gone, so it wasn't broke. Comes back with a couch. They're totally moving in with their tent. They have a couch at this camp now. And I remember during the summer, I was walking by this one little homeless camp. It was underneath this bridge, and under the bridge was a fire. You know, it was
Right.
like you could see all the smoke. So I called because there's eucalyptus trees underneath that bridge, and it was summertime, and that was during our drought. Before
Right.
we had
You
all
get
this rain.
eucalyptus on fire. Right. It'll
And-
take off. It's full of oil.
So I called 911.
Yep.
And I was like, there's a fire underneath this bridge. And they said, well, did you look? Is somebody in there trying to keep warm? I said, well, I don't know. I didn't
Not my
look
problem.
under the bridge. And they said, they told me that if somebody is trying to use it for warmth, there's nothing they can do.
Really?
And I said, so you won't do anything until all that eucalyptus catches fire. Then you'll do something.
And shuts down the
Big
highway or
giant
the
emergency.
bridge. Right. Well, that's
You won't do anything to prevent it.
that is the mentality. That is the mentality of our bureaucrats in office. That's how they work. That's what they do. They're going to do their job. They've got their rules. And if their rules allow them not to have to do their job, they're not going to do their job. Again, thanks so much for calling in. By the way, if you call in tonight and you can't get through, leave a message. We'll go through the voicemails and we'll pick some out and bring them back on the podcast tomorrow night to start the show with. Again, we're doing this every night, every weekday night from starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. So every weekday night starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll go for at least an hour, maybe 2 hours, depending on what's going on. If you want to call in, you can do so right now. The number to call is 877-619-3899, 877-619-3899. And for those of you who are just joining, let me kind of get some of the house cleaning out of the way of what we're doing. There's a couple of things going on. The first thing is follow the Rumble channel, follow YouTube, follow the Twitter, all of that, so that you get notifications when we go live. Our intent is to do it every weekday night at 8 p.m. That's how we're going to do it from now on. We'll also have auxiliary podcasts that are guests, people that I want to talk to and so on. Some of those that are on the list so far that we're really looking forward to are people like General Flynn, Holman, I'm trying to think, Lee Dundas. So there's a ton of people that we've got that we're bringing in. Let's bring in our next caller. You're live on the CramerSez podcast. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Andrew, calling from Ohio.
Hey, Andrew, how you doing? What's on your mind?
Chipper and happy as always. Glad to speak to you, and thank you for everything you do. Some of us
Thank you
are
so
better
much.
soldiers than we are leaders, so we appreciate you.
Thank you so
One of
much.
the questions I have is, with the emergence of CramerSez and everything that Rumble's doing with Crowder, Bongino, all those guys, with Daily Wire doing everything they're doing, where would you suggest an individual like myself who doesn't have an online presence, but I answer with my wallet? How do we find the proper places to utilize our hard-earned dollars?
Well, here's the thing, and it's a great question. Because I go through the same quandary. It's interesting that what we've seen over the last few weeks with what's going on with Crowder and Ben Shapiro and the other guys, I think that a lot of what we're seeing, especially at the top ranks of conservative talk and so on, is the corporatism that we've seen before. And so I think that if you really want to put your money to work, is those guys are fine. Go find small time podcasters that need the assistance. Go with them because their voices are more raw. They're not bought yet. I'm sorry. I worked in this industry for 40 years. I fully understand it inside and out. And as soon as money comes into the picture, people start thinking differently. They really do. And so that's why I've been really slow to bring on advertisers or anything like that. In fact, the work that we're doing with Tusk is that the only reason they're on is because I'm an actual investor. I believe in what they're doing, right? So that's why I promote them.
I joined you in the investment opportunity
Awesome.
when it came up on WeFunder. But the other question would be is individuals like Graham Allen is one of the smaller guys.
Mhm.
These these individuals, should we just support the individuals who are sponsoring you guys to the best of our abilities? But when it comes to things like groceries and things like that, most of us here in Ohio would utilize our own gardens, or we buy from the Amish. We mostly buy handmade material. We try to stay out of the big box stores. So work with our local IGAs and co-ops in our area. So would it be the individuals that are promoting you guys, and how do you decide on who sponsors you?
Well, I've been slow to take sponsors. And the reason is because, again, having worked in marketing, advertising, and politics for the last 40 years, I know how dirty it gets. What we've done is we've been very transparent. We have a set cost of what CramerSez, the website and the social media platform, cost us every month. That's a set cost. We try to meet that every month. And I don't take, it's funny, I get called a grifter a lot, especially by the left and by some of those that like Q, because I came out against Q. I said, I don't think Q exists. I don't think it's there, yada, yada, yada. So I've got a group of people that, well, Kramer's just a grifter. Here's the thing. If you've watched my content over the last 2 to 3 years, I don't ask for shit. I fund it all myself.
No, we couldn't even get you to make T-shirts for us.
Right. Well, that's coming, but that's going to fund the CramerSez social media platform. So all the merch is coming, but we're going to show exactly what we're making, how much money came in, and how much money has gone out, and what our actual expenses are. Because here's the thing, I'm not a grifter. I mean, I've spent thousands of dollars getting to this point right here. If I'm a grifter, I'm the worst possible person at it. And so with that in mind, that's what you have to look for, right? If I'm going to do this full time, do I need to make money? Yeah, I need to make money, right? But I already got money. I mean, there's a number of causes that I work for. There's a number of things that I do behind the scenes. When I tell you that I'm at CPAC or I'm at this place or that place, I'm there because I'm interested in our country. And people, let me put it this way. The people who do not do anything, those who are most likely to say nothing's ever going to happen, are the first to call you a name when they don't understand what you're doing. And in their mind, they're thinking, well, he's got to be making some money somehow. No, there are some of us that do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. I gave up a $700,000 every 2 years from the Republican Party in the state of Indiana. That's what I put in my pocket every 2 years from the Republican caucus. Went to my bottom line. Me personally gave it up because it was the right thing to do, because Eric Holcomb, the governor of Indiana, was holding the state hostage unconstitutionally for months with the lockdowns. That's the kind of people you go after.
Individuals such as yourself, and I'll just use Crowder as an example. I know he's coming back.
Great example.
He uses Walther and one of the meat good ranchers. So if there is a way that individuals such as yourself who could direct us where to exercise our dollars,
let me give you an example.
Appreciate it.
Let me give you an example. There's a dual economy being built. It's slow because the left already has everything in place. But instead of going to what's it called? What's the fundraising platform? GoFundMe, right? GoFundMe is that platform, right? Well, don't use them. We've already seen what they've done. Go to Give, Send, Go. If you're going to give money to somebody, if you're going to raise money for a cause, don't go to the place that shut our voices down and shut down the voices of Canadians who just wanted to go and protest in their country. So it's small things like that. I think you gave a great example of
and
shopping locally.
Get off of get yourselves as far away from PayPal and Venmo and all these other materialistic areas, like all the individuals that are actually not doing what they say they're going to do. And it's amazing that, as I said, some of us are much better soldiers than we are generals. We greatly appreciate everything you and the other leaders are doing. So thank you very much.
Well, thanks so much for calling in. Do you have anything else to say or any questions?
No, that's about it, except for the individuals that whenever they'll be held accountable, I'm not going to hold my breath, but I will still hold out. I'll hold out hope. I'm right there with you.
Thanks so much for calling in tonight. Have a great evening. Thanks so much. See you. Bye-bye. Yeah. And that's the thing. So many people are asking, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? The thing that you do is you stop complying. That's what you do. Non-compliance is the number one thing that you can do. Well, Kramer, how do I do that? It takes a set of balls, because you've got to make a determination that you're done, and that you're not going to play by these rules anymore. that you are done and you're not going to do the exact same thing that you've been told. There was a piece that let me see if I can find it real quick. I don't know if I'll be able to play this or not. No, I probably can't. We got a couple of technical setbacks that we've figured out tonight as we're going live. So we'll get those fixed here for tomorrow night. But I think it's interesting that the American people for the last 2.5 years have been silent. They've sat back in a watch and see. They saw what happened on January 6th, and the government come in and slap down, especially the Democrats, slap down, and not only slap down on Americans who protested their government, but then went after them and they lied time and time and time and time again. And now what we're seeing from Tucker Carlson and the Twitter files and so on is how much our government has been lying to us, not just in the last 2 to 3 years, but over the last 20, 30, 40 years. Let me put things in context for you. Just a few weeks ago, we learned that the FBI and the CIA played a pivotal role in the assassination of JFK. And nobody says shit about it. Just goes on like, that's just what happens in America today. That's why Nancy Pelosi, that's why Pfizer, that's why these other bigwigs, that's why they want this information silenced for 40, 50, 60, 70 years, so that you can't be privy to what's going on. That's what's going on. Okay, I got to take that call there. Let's dump out of this here real quick. There we go. There. Sorry about that, Cedric. We're taking calls right now at 877-619-3899, 877-619-3899. If you want to be on the show, join us at 877-619-3899. Going back to what I was saying earlier, again, we just learned that the CIA and the FBI played a pivotal role in the assassination of JFK. And not only do our government officials not say anything, our politicians don't say anything. Let me spell this out for you. If it's possible for the CIA or the FBI to assassinate a sitting president 50 years ago, 60 years ago, do you think that that's possible today? Do you think that they would have any qualms doing it today? The CIA and the FBI were not partisan back then, as far as we know. We weren't really all that aware of it. So the question to ask yourself right now is can we get to the point where we trust our government again? Can we get to that point? This is the CramerSez podcast. You're on live. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello? Oh, they ended. They jumped out. That's the first one that's done that. When I was working in radio, that would happen all the time. As soon as you put them on the air, they'd freak out. If you want to call, the number to call is 877-619-3899. Here's what's interesting. We've got right now Senator Lindsey Graham, and I don't know if you saw this today, but Lindsey Graham, along with Sean Hannity, was calling for basically going to war with Russia. We should be shooting down their planes. We shouldn't accept this. We should shoot down their drones. We should shoot down their planes. Let me remind you, I'm not crazy about the fact of what Russia did and the let me stop that real quick. What Russia did, I'm not crazy about it. But keep in mind, we've been sending billions to kill their boys. You got to think about it from their standpoint. We're sending billions of dollars to a country that we overthrew in 2014, that the Obama administration overthrew in 2014. The U.S. State Department in 2014, under Obama, overthrew Ukraine. Kramer, I didn't know about that. Yeah, go watch Ukraine on Fire. Oliver Stone's film. There's a couple of them, actually. The other one is Ukraine Burning. Go watch it, and you'll learn for yourself exactly what's been going on in our nation. Exactly. Let me play this from Lindsey Graham and Sean Hannity and have what they had to say about what's going on and how badly they both want to go to war with Russia.
They shot down our drone. What should our answer be?
Well, we should hold them accountable and say that if you ever get near another U.S. set flying in international waters, your airplane would be shot down. What would Ronald Reagan do right now? He would start shooting Russian planes down if they were threatening our assets. American foreign.
There you go.
They shot down our drone.
There you go.
What should our answer be?
That's what Lindsey Graham and Sean Hannity want. They want World War III. Why? Well, because wars drive ratings. Hannity wants it. And Lindsey Graham wants it because he can raise money off of it. You never see Lindsey Graham on Hannity without saying that he's being attacked by the Democrats or there to cause war. Every fucking time. Every fucking time. You're live on the CramerSez podcast. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Kramer, it's Francis. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing tonight, Francis?
I'm drowning here in the desert of Nevada, but
Is it wet?
I guess we're welcoming the rain now. I don't know.
Well, take what you can
It's
get.
kind of a weird thing how much rain we've had. Mhm.
Exactly. So what's on your mind tonight?
Well, I heard you talking about Lindsey Graham and that whole Dan Crenshaw, and I just have to ask: is anyone surprised that they are exactly their vision is exactly the opposite of what the American people want? Are you surprised by?
Well, no, they're establishment guys.
position?
They're owned by the globalist. The people who are fighting
Well-
hardest to take our freedoms, they're aligning with them because they can line their pockets at the same time.
Well, and I think it's even more basic than that. I don't think that they're chess players, and I think to a certain degree you're so intellectually smarter than they are. I think that what it is when Trump was in Iowa this past week, he said that he's going to stop the war.
Yep.
And I think that they're so intellectually dishonest that it isn't that they want war, it's that they don't want Trump.
That's it.
So whatever he says he's going to accomplish, they want to do the exact opposite, say the exact opposite of that.
I agree 100%.
Does that make sense?
100%. It's DTS, deranged Trump syndrome. They can't help themselves. They would rather cut off their own nose to spite their face because of Trump. It's the exact same thing. Throwing the baby out with the bathwater. All the sayings you want to say, that's what the Democrats are doing right now. They would rather burn down the house than allow someone they don't love to live there. That's exactly what's going on.
Correct. Someone that they cannot control. It was interesting because Joe Biden was in Las Vegas, and you would think that this being such a Democrat stronghold, that, it would have been a well-attended event with people lining the streets, much like they do when Trump comes. And there was none of that. And he had almost the perfect day.
Yep.
We've had a string of rain and snow and everything. This was the perfect day. And no one came to wish him well. No one.
Well, because he has no support. He has no support at all. I mean,
and he keeps just digging the hole deeper, in my opinion.
Well,
There's just not a day that isn't a new crisis.
Every day in America, exactly. Every day in America, I wake up and I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah. A friend of mine called me. I had a deadline to hit, so I was up very, very late last night. And so I woke up this morning at about 8:30, and a friend of mine from the East Coast had texted me, and he said, well, what do you think about what's going on? And I said, well, I've only woke up. Is something new happened? Or are we talking about a crisis that already exists? And he said, oh, no, it's new stuff. Like, great.
Yep.
And he started talking about the drone, and he started talking about this Chinese influence that at this moment, I don't think we go to war with Russia. I think we go to war with the Chinese.
I don't see that. I don't see that. I've been studying a bunch of analysts and what they're saying about Taiwan. And Taiwan is much more of a battle than the Chinese can possibly handle, especially if the U.S. is there in any way, shape, or form. So the only place we're going to go to war with China would be in Taiwan. We're not going to attack the mainland. And there's no way that we're going to fight an insurgency in China. So that's not going to happen. People have to be realistic about what it would be. So it's going to be something with Taiwan. But the Chinese can't support themselves. For example, we go to war with China tomorrow, and we say, okay, you know what? We're at war. Fuck you. We're not sending you any energy, and we're not sending you any food. What happens to China in 6 months?
Reread that using the context of BRICS and the context that the United States
doesn't matter.
Doesn't
BRICS at this point, BRICS
the aggressor.
Doesn't matter. Francis, here's the deal. In the event that we go to war, China imports 80% of their food and about 90% of their energy. You take America out of the
Correct.
food mix,
And
they
joined an
starve.
alliance with all of South America and Mexico.
They don't
is
have.
like
There's
the
not enough
bread
food there,
basket.
Francis. There's not enough food there. You and
Oh, I don't
Ukraine. You see, Crimea is the breadbasket of Europe. Now, what do you think that Russia is going to do against Europe to pressure them? All he has to do is stop the food coming from Crimea. Again, there's so many dynamics in place, and unless you're looking at it as chess pieces on a board, a lot of it gets out of hand really quickly, and we get really partisan, and we're not looking at it logistically on what is most likely to happen next, not what we want to happen next, but what is most logical to happen next. And what I see is that in this nation, that we've got to get to the point where we understand that our government is not working in our best interest anymore. That it's not working for the American people, that it's working for interest inside government, the bureaucracy, the deep state, and those that have access to power. That's who this system is currently benefiting. You're not doing any better. After how many years? You're not doing any better at all. After 2.5, 3 years going in with Joe, you're not doing any better at all. So, Francis, thanks for calling in. I appreciate the call. We'll have to catch up here later. Taking another caller here. You're live on CramerSez. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Kramer, this is Dave Meggers from Eastern Iowa.
Eastern Iowa checking in. What's on your mind?
No, I just wanted to talk to you about a little bit about, you were talking about Sean Hannity and all that. Why do you think they want that? Why do you think they want war?
Because it's money and power. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the old game. Here's it's funny. I'm a history buff. I love history, and so I thought I knew a lot. I thought I knew a lot about history, and it was COVID. During COVID, I had COVID that I learned an eye-opening epiphany. And it came from watching a shitty show. I binge watched The Last Kingdom. Have you ever seen it? Uhtred, son of Uhtred. Ever heard of this? Okay. It's if you like that period stuff, it's a good show. I'm not going to bash it, but it is a shitty show that I watched every season of, every episode. And it was my guilty pleasure during COVID. Here's what you get to learn when you're binge watching a show like that. The show is about a king and a kingdom, and he's got his adversaries and he's got his allies, and he will go to let's see, he'll have a problem in the northern part of the country, and so while he's addressing that, his enemy is attacking the southern part, and vice versa. When he's got things going on in the south, then they're attacking the northern part, right? And after you watch this cycle of how the storyline goes, you start to see the same bullshit in our governments.
Right.
And so that was my eye-opening moment, is that when I saw, wait a minute, they're doing the exact same thing. Instead of today, it's no longer nation states. It's no longer the United States against Russia. No, it's all the corporations in the United States against the rest of the planet. That's what it's against. And any company that has enough stranglehold on our economy and is owned in part or managed in part, especially if they're a majority owner by BlackRock, Vanguard, or State Street, they're controlling what's happening in this country. Our politicians have not controlled anything in this country for at least the last 20 years. It's been these organizations that have done it.
Label that deep state, right? Deep state.
Exactly. Well, the corporations and the deep state. See, the corporations are the ones that power everything. They give all the money, and then it's the deep state that enacts these things. A perfect example is when COVID broke out, right? And all of a sudden Lowe's and Home Depot were enacting the exact same policies at the exact same time. How did that happen?
Right.
Well, it happened because they were owned by BlackRock. BlackRock came in and told them. Vanguard came in and told them. State Street came in and told them. They were told what to do. Why? Are you familiar with ESG? Have you heard of this yet?
No. Okay. No.
Get your Wikipedia out. Go looking at ESG. ESG stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance. And the last part is the really scary part, because what they're talking about is corporate governance. Corporate governance is the things that, well, nation states, in particular, the United States, can't do. The United States can't silence you. They can't take your voice. That's unconstitutional. But Twitter can.
Correct.
And who was Twitter in bed with? they were in bed with the government.
Right.
So they
Yeah,
were silencing people by proxy, right? They'd get a list of people from the government of who to silence, and they silenced them. The government couldn't do it. It's illegal for them to do that. But they can partner with Google. They can partner with YouTube. They can partner with all of these other outlets and silence your voice. That's what the corporate governance part of this is about. But it goes deeper than that. It goes into the trans movement. It goes into the LGBTQ movement. It goes against every norm in our nation. Everything of the American culture, it goes against and says that's wrong. And it's no different than what Mao did in China in the 1960s, 1950s and 1960s. So we're going to see this cultural revolution that we've seen is the most dangerous thing that has hit our shores since the 1960s. What was going on in this country in the 1960s, they tried to do it then, they couldn't get it quite overthrown. And so what they've done is they've, in my opinion, is that they've indoctrinated several generations of kids to believe that America is bad. Now, I wasn't taught that. I was taught that we're the greatest nation on the face of the earth, but we have a responsibility to the rest of the planet. That's what we were taught. But again,
Ronald Reagan.
Well, I don't spout names like this. Ronald Reagan had problems. I mean, what Ronald Reagan did is he broke the law too. Nixon broke the law. I'm tired of this party one way or the other. I'm looking for Americans that say, listen, I'm going to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And I don't care what party likes it, and I don't care what party hates it. We need more people that are doing the right thing for the right reasons. Now, when that happens, they generally get Epsteined or Clinton or whatever you call it. What's the biggest issue in your life today? What's going on?
Same concept. Same concept, right?
Exactly. What's the biggest issue going on in your area right now?
My area, I'm in Eastern Iowa. I'm a farmer. The biggest issue is dealing with our schools.
Okay.
And dealing with critical race theory, and the same thing.
Yep.
I believe I was going to talk to you about a little bit about Trump. Trump just came to Eastern Iowa.
How was that?
DeSantis
Did you go?
Came to Eastern Iowa.
Did you go?
Both. Yes, absolutely both.
How was it?
Both. Yeah. DeSantis is a rock star. Trump is exactly what we need. I mean, Trump is my number one. DeSantis is my number two.
Yep. I'd have to go there with you. I'm there. And you know what? Here's the thing. Here's the thing that concerns me about DeSantis is that the people that are backing him are the same exact voices that were against Trump. So I think it's going to be a hard sell. Bill Maher put it best. Why would you go for the cover band when the real band is still touring? And that's exactly what we've got going on. You know, Trump is the original. DeSantis is the cover band. You know, it's MAGA light, right? So in a head-to-head, you'd vote for Trump over DeSantis, given the opportunity?
100%.
See, there you go. And that's what I don't think the pundits understand that.
We know what we have with Donald Trump, right? We don't know what we have with DeSantis.
Exactly.
I mean, we have Florida, but we don't know what we have with Donald. I mean, we don't know what we have with DeSantis because nationally, Donald Trump is gonna exactly what we need in the sense of he is gonna not listen to him. He is not a politician, and we have to go with what we believe in that sense.
Yep, I agree with you 100%.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the Q. I know you're not against.
Well, jump in, man. That's what it's about. This is about conversation. You know, see, here's the thing: is that these conversations, I can agree with you all day long, and I can disagree with you all day long. That doesn't mean I hate you. I just disagree with you.
Love it.
So knock me out. Give me the evidence you've got that will change my mind.
Yep. We're in Davenport, Iowa with Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I followed Q.
Mm-hmm.
I hope for Q, obviously, because that's what me and you want. We want to get to that point. We don't want Biden as our president in that sense. If you look at the stage of what Trump was on the other day, there were 17 flags.
Okay.
17 flags.
Okay. Let's get into this. So I'll jump in real quick. Okay. So
I love it.
Here's where I came. Here's the position I came to, and when I realized this, it's like I can't do it anymore. There's no way. It's okay. So here's the thing. Q
Yep.
and the Q mentality is unconstitutional.
Yep. Okay.
It's unconstitutional. I cannot stand with someone who would stand above the Constitution, even if it's the right thing for us. You can't stand outside the Constitution. There is no authority for a president to do what the Q crowd claims that Trump has done or is doing.
Okay.
He would have to suspend the Constitution to do that.
Yep.
Could you?
Militarily, no matter what.
No matter what. There is no authority in the Constitution for Q to exist under the premise that people believe Q exists, that Trump is still president, that Biden is an imposter, that the military is in control, and they're gathering all of this information, and at some point in the future, they're going to pounce and show it to us all. It's unconstitutional.
Okay.
And so if Trump wrote, they say, well, Trump wrote this executive order. Okay. And what happened on Biden's day one? What did he do with those executive orders that he wanted rid of from Trump? What did he do?
Apparently, I don't know for sure, but did he get rid of it?
They nullify them.
Nullify them.
Yeah. There's a handful of executive orders that have persisted from president to president, right? That was the big deal with when Trump came in of closing the border. Well, Obama had an executive order, and Trump should have been able just to reverse it, but they took it to court for the first time. They took an executive order to court. All it is a president's want list. And by the way, executive orders do not affect you and me. Did you know that? That's only for the policies with inside government. They don't affect you and I. Only laws affect you and I. When somebody tells you it's our policy, okay, well, go fuck your policy. I'm a citizen.
Right.
Only laws affect me. Your policy has no impact on me at all. You can't say it's our policy for you to shut up. It's our policy that you only get 3 minutes. It's our policy. Nope, don't care. Your policies are for you and yours. They do not abide to me. It's like for those that are Christians who talk all the time about the Old Testament. Well, if you're a Christian, the Old Testament isn't for you. And by the way, I'm not advocating for Christian or religion or anything. I'm just saying, giving that as an example, right? Is that you can't say that you're a Christian and then go back and use the Old Testament as the way that we're supposed to do things. That's an eye for an eye. That's what the New Testament was about, right? Sacrifice, that was in the Old Testament. So you've got to know. I'll give you an example. When I was a kid in high school, my physics teacher flunked me the first time around, and I had never made an F in school ever. But my counselor had put me in physics before they put me in algebra. Once I took algebra, I aced the course. And in fact, I set the scale for the class. And that's not a Joe Biden bullshit. That actually happened. You can go back and Ben Davis and find out. Ben Davis High School in Indianapolis, Mr. Oliver. So you go back and when you go through the physics, the first thing that they teach you is that you have to keep everything in relationship to each other. So if you're going to do math about how many inches per second something is moving, you got to break it down from miles per hour. You got to get into the same units so that your math is always consistent. And what we have time and time again is that our politicians do just the opposite. They go in and they give us this hairy math, and it doesn't turn out to be what the real math is. 2 and 2 today equals 5. Well, in government, 2 plus 2 can equal 6 or 8 or 9, or they can change the definitions of words altogether. We're not in a recession. Well, it looks like we are. The definition, we changed the definition. And that's exactly what's happening in the country right now. Thanks so much for calling in from Iowa today. We're taking another caller here real quick. And by the way, if you want to join us, we're going to be doing this every weekday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. You'll be able to call in, and we're going to get things even smoother so that things happen a little bit easier. If you call in and you can't get through, please leave a message. We'll go through those messages tomorrow, and we'll glean some out, and we'll use them in the program tomorrow. So your voice is going to be heard at some point. If you can't get through, please leave a message. 877-619-3899 is the location to call. If you want to call and have your voice heard, that's the place to do it. We're going to go until we got another 5 minutes here. So let's do one more call. If you want to call in right now is the time. Let's see here. DeSantis, who's this is from Shellis Bostwick. DeSantis needs to wait his time. I agree. Or be VP with Trump. That I could do. Yeah, he needs to have some time underneath Trump. For 4 years and running 8 in the years, that's 12 years in the books, people. I agree 100%. Let's see here. From Shelley. They don't give a fuck about our Constitution. It'll all come to light. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that there are enough patriots on the left and on the right that will come forward and serve the American people. Listen, I've got Democrats that are friends. They're not bad people. We disagree on policy. We agree on 98% of everything else. It's that 2% that we can't get over. Are they evil people? No. You see, the people that call Republicans evil and dangerous and un-American and a threat to our democracy, well, we're saying the same thing against the other people. It's hyperbole. But then we get up in the morning, we go to work, and we work next to people that voted for Biden. We work for people who voted for other people that we didn't vote for. We vote for people who voted for Trump. And even with them, we can't agree 100%. So to expect that we're all supposed to agree and like each other to get things done, I think is a little bit childishly naive. And as Americans, what we've got to start doing is we've got to come together and say, listen, we agree on 98% of this bullshit. Even 95% will work. Even 80% will work. We agree on the majority of things. We want better for our children. But this craziness that we've been going through for the last 3 or 4 years has to stop. Our economy can't take it. Our country can't take it. And the world can't take it. Right now, we are a laughingstock. We have no power around the world. How do I know? Well, Putin just flew a jet across the sky and came in and pissed all over our plane or our drone to show the planet, to show the world that we have no resolve, that we have no backbone, that we have no spine. You're on the CramerSez podcast. What's your name and where are you calling from? Turn down your TV there, if you would. Go ahead.
Oh, can you pause that? Yes, my name is Braxton Colvin. We're actually watching your podcast now.
Yeah.
I had a question about the Willow Project and what your thoughts were about it, and if there's anything that we should be nervous about or what your ideas were on it.
We should always be nervous. You're talking about all of the trains that have been getting toppled here in the last derailing here in the last few weeks.
No, the Willow Project in Alaska.
That I'm not aware of. Fill me in.
Well, I guess there's this huge oil deal going on in Alaska that Joe Biden just passed. They call it the Willow Project. I'm not completely sure on everything. I've seen a few things on TikTok and Facebook. So I didn't know if there was something you knew about it.
I have not, but I've written it down and I will get back to it. I'll take a look. Do you have anything else to talk about?
That was it, man. Thank you for answering.
Okay. Well, anytime. Feel free to call back. And the next time I will have information tomorrow night about the Willow Project. We'll take a look at it and see what our input is on it. Thanks so much for calling in tonight. It's interesting that the number one thing that people are concerned about in this country, it's not LGBTQ. It's not trans, right? It's feeding their children. Educating their children. Children are the most important thing to Americans in this country. And you've got these side groups. They're going to come forward and they're going to tell you, well, this is more important. No. Our children, it's the most important thing. Guaranteeing that they have a future, that they have hope, that they have the same kind of capabilities that we did. Slowly, what's happening is a small minority group of people are driving what our policies are. And they're determining what you and your family, the way that they're going to live. And you have to decide what that line in the sand is. What's your red line? When are you done playing this game? People, I don't have any hatred against Democrats. I get hatred against their policies. I think their policies right now in this country are dangerous. I think it's going to get people killed. And if we don't act and come in together and put aside these little differences for the greater good, our nation's going to fall. It's interesting. I don't know if you know who Russell Brand is. I think that Russell Brand is a lightning rod right now. I think that a lot of the things that he says are very valid, and we've got to take them the way that they're being said. But again, I don't agree 100% with Russell Brand. But just because I don't agree with everything doesn't mean that from time to time he's not right. It's the same thing with Bill Maher. From time to time, he strikes gold. He sees it. He gets it. He's awakening. He started to say that the most dangerous thing that we have in the country today is the left, because they've taken away humor. You can't be funny because, oh, it hurt my feelings. You can't talk about people of color that way. You can't talk about black people that way. You can't talk about Hispanics that way. You can't talk about Chinese. What can we talk about? We can make fun of straight white guys. That's what we can do. That's what it's been for the last several years. Are you tired of it? You see, I remember a time in our nation when we had shows on TV like Archie Bunker, All in the Family, that showcased we don't want racism in our country. We don't want that. That doesn't help anybody. So how do you get by with that? How do you move that? How do you move past that? Well, my generation, we made fun of it. And we made fun of each other. And it wasn't racist. It wasn't sexist. It wasn't misogynist. It wasn't xenophobic. It was humans making fun of humans being humans. Regardless of what you might think, I am not perfect. Neither are you. Nobody is. So for us to expect that out of somebody else, out of our leadership, we're only shooting ourselves in the foot. The way that we move past in this country is we have to come together. We have to start looking at the 80, 90, 95% of the things that we agree on. We can work out the other bullshit. But until people feel safe to talk to each other, which they don't, until people feel safe to debate, which they don't, until people feel free to congregate with each other, people of differing ideas, to come together and speak with each other and speak their minds without fear of retribution or being canceled, until that happens, our nation is at the risk of falling. There are few of us that don't care. I've said it a million times. I spent 40 years in broadcasting. I've got a skill set. I'm going to utilize it. I don't care what the fuck anybody thinks. I don't care. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Fuck you. I cannot judge what I'm going to say against what your feelings are that moment or what you've decided to be that moment. I don't know if you're transgender and today's the day that you've decided to be a woman, and so now you find offense at what I'm saying, or tomorrow when you decide I'm going to flip back and be a dude. I don't know. And I'm not going to walk on eggshells anymore. I'm 57 years old. I'm almost 60 years old. I'm done. I am done playing the game the left wants us to play. How about you? You're live on CramerSez. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name's Aaron. I'm from East Vermont. Vermont.
You don't know where you're from? It's not a traffic stop, man. Nobody's getting in trouble here.
I've never talked on a live before, so it's a little, a little different for me. I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Freedom cities and 15-minute cities. What do you think of that? What do you think of, like, when Trump talks about 15 freedom cities and Biden talks about 15-minute cities or whatever?
Well, let me ask you this. What do you think? I'll give you my opinion, but what do you think?
They sound like the same thing.
They sounded like one and the same, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about either. I like the concept. And what I mean by that is I like the concept. And we've started to see it in cities across the U.S. In Indianapolis, they've done it a lot. There was a group that came in, land management group, property management group that came in. I'm trying to remember what the name of them was. It'll come to me here in a moment. But throughout Indianapolis, they have built a ton of what they call lower level retail, upper level condos and apartments. And they're really cool. We worked on several projects with them in the city doing that of Indianapolis. Down in the Lilly project, I can't remember what they ended up calling it, but we worked on the initial project for that, on getting that named and so on. Cityway is the name of the project down there. Is it Buchanan? I can't remember what the name of the parent company is. Anyway, long story short, it's lower level retail, upper level apartments. And if you go down there, just about everything that you need is within a walk of 5 to 10 minutes. Genius. It works. I don't have a problem with that. The problem that I have is what's going on in Woodfordshire, England right now, where they've put perimeters around the area that you live in and won't allow you to leave those areas. You have to get permission from your city or from your area to be able to go to another city, 2 quadrants away or whatever. I mean, it's really a Hunger Games / what's the name of the chick what was that? Is it the Hunger Games? Yeah, it's the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what it reminds me of. Now, here's what I like about it. Here's the things that I do like about what they're offering, what they're saying. Imagine a community built from the ground up in the newest technology available, where all the wires are run, the Wi-Fi's there, everything. That part of it from the technological point, I love it because I'm a tech guy. I love that shit.
Yeah. No, I mean, it sounds good. It sounds like it could be a good thing,
right?
But like the monitoring of people, like in China and all that stuff, and the social credit thing, like on like a live feed is.
Oh, exactly.
Kind of,
imagine that you go someplace and you want to buy something and you go to put your card in and it says, no, you've already bought so many calories this month. You don't get Coke, or you don't get Pepsi, or you don't get this, or you don't get that, because we don't feel you need it.
right.
What Bloomberg did with New York, with, hey, you can't buy that soda, it's too big because you're a fat ass. So people said, okay, fine, I'll just buy two. I'll buy two small ones. I get the same shit. I mean, he wasn't going to stop people from getting what they wanted, but that's what the Karens of government want. And so, that's what I expect from it. We've seen the tech that's coming out. And this is why I really got involved and decided to step forward, because I've been working in this area for 40 years. I wrote a paper years ago. It was a paper for a client that we were working with about the future of information and what it would mean. And I gave all the benefits. And then I wrote a paper of all the negatives. And the negatives are what we're living through right now. So it's interesting when people say, they go, well, Kramer, how do you know what's going on? Well, we were looking at it 15, 20 years ago as to where the technology would go. And I'll tell you what scares the crap out of me, and I'd like to get your opinion on it, is AI. I think it is cool as all get out and as dangerous at the same time. What's your opinion?
Same. I think I mean, AI has the ability to, like, depending on its algorithm, could open up a huge can of worms for us. I mean, you're talking about something that can literally learn everything.
Pandora's box.
And hack, all it has to do is decide, with an algorithm, to decide that, hey, this isn't working, so we're going to run things for you.
Well, I saw a TikTok video today that was really interesting, but scary at the same time. So the models that they're working on are 2 years old, meaning that the information that when you type stuff in and it pulls data, that data has a cap of 2 years ago. So there's nothing current in there, right? But what's interesting is that ChatGPT, AI in particular, the ChatGPT model, has the ability to go in and look at its own code. And so you can say, hey, listen, I want you to take it, and there's the way of manipulating it with the prompts, but I want you to do this, and I want you to build me this based on this. And there was a gentleman tonight, and there's a new version. It's not ChatGPT. There's a new AI that's being tested. It's in round 4, and its capability of writing code on the fly. You tell it what you want it to do. You say, this is how I want it to act. These are the APIs that I want it to connect with, and boom, it does it. The only thing is that it couldn't connect because in the time since the 2-year cutoff window, there's been some changes to certain APIs, and this other version had to be made aware that those changes have been made. And once those changes were put in place, it was interesting that the AI said, got it, and wrote code that's current today, even though it was cut off from 2 years ago. And all it needed was some basic information. What I see, and again, that's cool as all get out, right, is the tech. I love the tech. I think it's cool as being able to, I got on ChatGPT with my wife and I said, here, let's set out a schedule for she hates planning dinners. So let's just have ChatGPT, plan out dinners with recipes for 30 days. And you don't have to mess with shit.
Yep.
It works. It does what it's supposed to do. Right. But on the flip side of that same brain
it does what it's supposed to do.
can be used against you to tell you, well, you've had too much food. You've already eaten too many calories this month. You need to diet for the next 2 days, right? And we see that tech. I mean, the fact that they've got tech now in refrigerators and microwaves and everything, they're tying it all together. And I hate to be that guy that's the dark cloud, right? That's always the negative guy, but it's not being negative to state the facts. Stating a fact is never negative. right?
I work for a contractor, and some of the appliances, some of the customers don't even want hooked up.
Right.
They
Well,
don't trust it.
My wife hates all the tech. She's always taking Alexa off the wall because she doesn't. What are you going to say? Your phone's still in your pocket. Your phone can hear you. And then she's got her phone turned off. And I go, well, technically they can still hear you even if you get the phone turned off because they just turned the battery on the inside. They still got access to it through the cellular system. So people, here's the thing. When you know the tech, I don't fear the tech. I leverage it. That's why I keep going back to TikTok. People go, well, why do you keep coming back? Because it's the fastest way to grow on the planet right now. It's the fastest way to get a message out.
It is.
There's no other way to do it. So leverage it, right? Well, it's owned by the Chinese. So if you know The Art of War by Sun Tzu,
everybody right now.
Exactly. Facebook is doing the same exact thing. Do you here? And I'll close with this. Why do you think the U.S. government wants TikTok gone all of a sudden?
Oh, because they're losing money.
That's it.
They got to be
100%.
Yeah, that Google's probably behind that. Facebook's probably behind it.
Yep.
Everybody's throwing money at, you got to get rid of these people.
$10 billion. They took $10 billion out of the U.S. last year. TikTok took $10 billion out. So we've got
I can like people content from other countries and stuff. You don't get any of that on Facebook. It's not like a live feed where you can be like, oh, hi, you're Chinese? Well, how are you? Or, Russian or Jamaican or whatever. You can run into somebody and be like, hey, dude.
Well, exactly. And here's what's interesting is that when the Canadian, what's been interesting is to see the how free speech has morphed less and less. I'm trying to put it the right way. How free speech has disappeared slowly and incrementally. And they've learned on how to shut certain conversations and certain people off. For example, when Canada, before the Canadian trucker deal, before the convoy, Canadians were all over the feed on TikTok. Yep. Now they're not. They're gone. Before the bullshit in Australia, when they started locking people up, Australia was all over the feed. They're not anymore. Their governments have cut TikTok off. They're not. It's the governments that are shutting it off.
Yeah, I was like, what's going on there? They're being silenced.
The governments are shutting it down.
Yeah.
Right? And they're coming in and demanding. You can't, this stuff cannot leave Australia. It cannot leave Canada because what it's showing, and I don't know if you're watching Brut. I can't understand a damn word they say, but Brut is a magazine news outlet in Paris, in France. And they're showing on a daily basis the protests that are going on in the streets and the skirmishes with police on a daily basis in Paris over the lowering or the raising of the age of welfare or Social Security. So I think they're raising it to 65, 70 or something like that. Still lower than the U.S., but they're losing their shit, right? Because they've paid into the system and now they're being told they've got to work longer. Well, seems fair to me, but they won't let us see it.
Nothing. Yeah, it's nothing to me. But I see that on TikTok. I see that some feeds on TikTok show clips of that writing and stuff that's going on over there.
And that's why they don't want it, because you see, if I were China and I were going to use TikTok against the American people, I would do it exactly the way that they've done it. The vast majority of people have flipped from Facebook to TikTok, from Instagram to TikTok, from Twitter to TikTok. And so you've got a large group of Americans that are now being trained that if you don't mind your P's and Q's, you could lose your followers. You could lose your voice. And how are you going to be, relevant if you don't have a TikTok account? How many people want to be TikTok famous, right? So when I realized what the strength of TikTok was, followers don't matter to me. And I don't mean that saying that followers that are on there don't matter to me, but the number of followers I have does not matter. It doesn't matter at all to me.
Right.
What matters to me is reach. And I know that I've got an account right now that's got an account warning on it, right? 14 days old, 70,000 followers or thereabouts. And I've got an account warning. Now, you've seen my content. Do I take my clothes off? Do I dance?
Yeah.
Right?
No,
am I on there breastfeeding a child? Right. All I do is talk.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that is the purest form of free speech. Me saying what I'm saying, and they say that what I say is dangerous. And all I speak is fact. Facts are not dangerous. They're just not.
Yeah. I mean, I've learned more from TikTok than I have from probably the mainstream media. I mean, especially if you look up people and what they're doing, and look up other feeds on what they say, and then you can find a feed, you can make a story out of what people are saying if you look things up.
Yep. Well, and you can piece it together and go, for example, I will see something. I don't know if you've seen the video, but there's a video of AOC and Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi going at it, and it's a fake. And everybody's spreading it. It's a fake. It's not real. That is, I mean, take it from me. I'm an audio engineer. That's what I did in broadcasting for 40 years. I know it inside and out, and I can hear the edit points. Right? You put headphones on, you can hear where there's little sounds that go before. I can hear them. Right? I know what
you can tell a lot of videos are doctored too.
Yeah. And these deep fakes that are going around of Elon Musk saying certain things or other people saying certain things and their lips don't sync up. Trust me, people. It may sound like Elon Musk, but it's not. Elon Musk has built his own voice emulator, and he showed how it worked.
Yeah.
Right. So when you look at these things, we are in for a world of hurt if we believe everything that comes down the pike and don't investigate first. That's the first thing I do. I don't just look at it and go, hey, I like what they're saying, so I'm going to post it. I look at it and go, and every once in a while I get caught, right? I've looked through it 2 or 3 places and I still get busted. But I really want truth out there. And so the way to do that is not just to post it because you agree with it, but is to post it when you know that it's true, not just because what you want to hear. Exactly.
Don't be the first one to say it. Make sure it's right.
So let me ask you this. How involved have you gotten in your area? Are you involved in politics at all? Or are you doing anything at all?
No.
Why not?
I thought about it. I thought about it at some point. I was, I don't know how you feel about convention of states, but I was talking on that for a while, but, I just, I have a hard time finding the time.
Well, that's what everybody says, right? Here's the thing.
Yeah, true.
Okay, let me put it this way, and I'm going to put a guilt trip on you before I let you go here is, what are you doing right now?
I'm talking to you.
There you go. You see, my point is that I'm already converted. I'm part of the choir. I'm part of the congregation, right? Yep. And so if you look at it from that standpoint, us talking to each other, agreeing with each other how bad things are, doesn't move the needle. You have to get involved locally, whether that's with your school board, whatever you're passionate about, whether it's taxes, whatever that is. The reason that they've gotten to the point that they have is because you, I, and everybody else have expected someone else to go fight for our freedoms. And here's what's interesting. People don't do that. People don't go fight for your freedoms. They fight for themselves. They fight for their own. They're self-serving. They're selfish. They're stingy. That's who people are. And that's the best of us. That's not the worst of us. That's the best of us that are like that. Because when I woke up this morning, Aaron, I didn't think, I wonder how Aaron's doing today.
Yeah, right.
I didn't think about you. I didn't give you one thought. And guess what? You didn't give me a thought when you woke up this morning either. So if you're expecting me to fight for your freedoms, and maintain your freedoms and defend your freedoms, you're wrong. I'm not going to do it. I'm fighting for mine.
Right. When COVID hit and stuff, and we were dealing with the school board, I mean, I had a little bit to do with that, and my friends did, but
well, and then
just talk to the supervisors and stuff like that, and be like, look, the kids don't need masks in the field, and all kinds of, they took them off and stuff, but we had a bunch of arguments. We were kind of fighting for our kids for a little while.
And well, you can't stop there, though. You can't stop
most of it,
right? But you can't stop there because you saw what they were willing to do. You saw how they were willing to take advantage of people during a pandemic. We're going to steal a little bit of your freedom that you'll never get back, and only those areas where people stood up did that shit stop. And so that's what we've got to have people do. We've got to have people start stepping up and airing their voices and letting it be known what their thoughts are and what positions they're at and how our politicians are nothing more than representatives. They're not the bosses. We are. We hire them to run shit because we don't have time because we have full-time jobs. Aaron, thanks for dropping in tonight and calling. Appreciate the call. Please join us again. We're going to wrap things up here. We went a little bit longer than we expected to tonight. We're going to do this again every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So align your clocks wherever. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We may go longer into 9, 10 o'clock, but we're going to start at 8 p.m. every weeknight, and you'll be able to call in at 877-619-3899. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Don't forget, if you haven't already joined up to CramerSez.com. Go get yourself an account at CramerSez.com. It's where free speech lives. It's a social media platform where you can speak your mind. Will you get censored? No. If you post stuff that is illegal, yeah, you'll get in trouble. So we've got monitors. They look at it. Don't do anything illegal, and you're fine. You're good to go. CramerSez.com. Do yourself a favor and go get yourself an account right now. With that being said, we're out of here. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. We'll see you then.